Today is October 27th, 2025. This is Read Through the Bible.
Hi, everyone.
And in recent years, one of the big political hot-button issues has been the idea about the United States being involved in these regime change wars.
Like in the Middle East.
Like in the Middle East, yeah, where one government is toppled. And like just say in Iraq, when Saddam Hussein was toppled, there's a lot of bloodshed whenever that takes place. Or in Libya with Gaddafi and his sons. Like, a lot of bloodshed takes place.
So a lot of people associated with that leader get killed.
Yeah, because you're trying to clear out the old leaders, and you get the new leaders. And that's exactly what we're seeing today in our reading, the Bible reading, as we're reading 2 Samuel 3 and 4. We're just seeing kind of a regime change, if you will. Like just, we're going to see David getting stronger, Judah in the south, and Israel getting weaker, and eventually working to take that over. And just the bloodshed is a lot. But the regime change kind of explains why the bloodshed is a lot. So here we go. We're going to read from 2 Samuel chapter 3. There was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David, and David grew stronger and stronger while the house of Saul became weaker and weaker.
So that sums up what you were talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. And sons were born to David at Hebron. His firstborn was Ammon of Ahinoam of Jezreel, and his second Chileab of Abigail, the widow of Nabal of Carmel, and the third Absalom, the son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, the king of Geshur, and the fourth Adonijah, the son of Haggith, and the fifth Shephatiah, the son of Abital, and the sixth Ithream of Eglah, David's wife. These were born to David in Hebron.
So it refers to David here having 6 wives, which is not so good. While there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, Abner was making himself strong in the house of Saul.
So that was Saul's general.
Yep. Now Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, and Ishbosheth said to Abner, "Why have you gone into my father's concubine?" Then Abner was very angry over the words of Ishbosheth and said, "Am I a dog's head of Judah? To this day I keep showing steadfast love to the house of Saul, your father, to his brothers and to his friends, and have not given you into the hand of David. And yet you charge me today with a fault concerning a woman. God do so to Abner and more also, if I do not accomplish for David what the Lord has sworn to him, to transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul and to set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan to Beersheba." And Ishbosheth could not answer Abner another word because he feared him. Wow. So Ishbosheth was the king, Abner was the commander, and he was offended just about taking this concubine, and he basically said, "I'm going to desert you. I'm going to go to David in the south, I'm going to try to conquer you."
Wow. Completely switching sides because of that. Okay, verse 12. And Abner sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, "To whom does the land belong? Make your covenant with me, and behold, my hand shall be with you to bring over all Israel to you." And he said, "Good, I will make a covenant with you. But one thing I will require of you, that is, you shall not see my face unless you first bring Michal, Saul's daughter, when you come to see my face." Then David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying, "Give me my wife Michal, for whom I paid the bridal price of 100 foreskins of the Philistines." And Ishbosheth sent and took her from her husband, Paltiel, the son of Laish. But her husband went with her, weeping after her all the way to Bahurim. Then Abner said to him, "Go, return." And he returned.
This is just messed up.
So sad.
So David was married to Michal, and yet when Michal helped him with the Alcatraz escape, then Saul was not happy with that and gave her to another man. And now this poor Paltiel, Michael,
he really loved her, I think, and didn't want her to leave.
And weeping after her all the way. What a sad scene. And Abner conferred with the elders of Israel, saying, "For some time past you have been seeking David as king over you. Now then bring it about, for the Lord has promised David, saying, By the hand of my servant David I will save my people Israel from the hand of the Philistines and from the hand of all their enemies." Abner also spoke to Benjamin, and then Abner went to tell David at Hebron, and all that Israel and the whole house of Benjamin thought good to do.
When Abner came with 20 men to David at Hebron, David made a feast for Abner and the men who were with him. And Abner said to David, I will arise and go, and will gather all Israel to my lord the king, that they may make a covenant with you, and that you may reign over all that your heart desires. So David sent Abner away, and he went in peace.
So David is chummy with Abner because Abner's on David's side.
Right.
Even though he's defected from Israel, he's coming to his side. And if he's pro-David, David is pro-Abner.
Well, and I think David sees the opportunity to be able to rule over all of Israel through Abner's influence.
Just then the servants of David arrived with Joab from a raid, bringing much spoil with them. But Abner...
So Joab was David's general.
Yes.
Okay.
But Abner was not with David at Hebron, for he had sent him away, and he had gone in peace. When Joab and all the army that was with him came, it was told Joab, Abner the son of Ner came to the king, and he has let him go, and he has gone in peace. And then Joab went to the king and said, What have you done? Behold, Abner came to you. Why is it that you have sent him away so that he is gone? You know that Abner the son of Ner came to deceive you, and to know you're going out and you're coming in, and to know all that you are doing.
I do think it's interesting that David was so trusting of Abner.
Yeah.
Abner, who had always been loyal to Saul, and so,
I think David's trusting of a lot of people.
Yes, that is true. And okay, so then 26, when Joab came out from David's presence, he sent messengers after Abner, and they brought him back from the cistern of Sirah. But David did not know about it. And when Abner returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside into the midst of the gate to speak with him privately, and there he struck him in the stomach so that he died for the blood of Asahel, his brother.
Yep.
So Abner had killed Joab's brother, Asahel. Asahel was the fast runner.
Yep, that was in chapter 2.
Okay, yep.
So Joab's avenging his brother's death.
Yes. Okay, verse 28. Afterward, when David heard of it, he said, I and my kingdom are forever guiltless before the Lord for the blood of Abner the son of Ner. May it fall upon the head of Joab and upon all his father's house, and may the house of Joab never be without one who has a discharge, or who is leprous, or who holds a spindle, or who falls by the sword, or who lacks bread. Interesting list there. Verse 30. So Joab and Abishai, his brother, killed Abner because he had put their brother Asahel to death in the battle at Gibeon.
And then typical of David, then, here's his mourning. David said to Joab and to all the people who were with him, Tear your clothes and put on sackcloth and mourn before Abner. And King David followed the bier, and they buried Abner at Hebron. And the king lifted up his voice and wept at the grave of Abner, and all the people wept. And the king lamented for Abner, saying, Should Abner die as a fool dies? Your hands were not bound, your feet were not fettered. As one falls before the wicked, you have fallen. And all the people wept over him. Then all the people came to persuade David to eat bread while it was yet day. But David swore, saying, God do so to me, and more also, if I taste bread or anything else until the sun goes down. And all the people took notice of it, and it pleased them, as everything that the king did pleased all the people. So all the people in all Israel understood that day that it had not been the king's will to put Abner, the son of Ner, to death. And the king said to his servants, Do you not know that a prince and a great man has fallen this day in Israel? And I was gentle today, though anointed king. These men, the sons of Zeruiah, are more severe than I. The Lord repay the evildoer according to his wickedness. Okay, so here we see verse 1 really sets the stage about the house of David growing stronger and stronger, while the house of Saul, Saul's dead, but the house of Saul, that just means Ishbosheth, in the north are getting weaker and weaker, and Abner jumped ship, but because he killed Asahel, Joab killed him. So Abner, the great general in the north, tries to go to the south, but some of the generals in the south don't accept him. Yeah. And then David mourns for him.
And clearly tries to make sure that everybody knows that David is not to blame for Abner's death.
Yep. Okay, chapter 4.
Okay. When Ishbosheth, Saul's son, heard that Abner had died at Hebron, his courage failed, and all Israel was dismayed.
I can imagine. He's king of the north, and they're going weaker and weaker and weaker. And you know what happens to a weak king? Yep, Saddam Hussein.
Verse 2, now Saul's son, that's Ishbosheth, had 2 men who were captains of raiding bands. The name of the one was Baanah, and the name of the other was Rechab, the sons of Rimmon, a man of Benjamin from Beeroth. For Beeroth also is counted part of Benjamin. The Beerothites fled to Gittaim and have been sojourners there to this day.
Jonathan, the son of Saul, had a son who was crippled in his feet. He was 5 years old when the news about Saul and Jonathan came from Jezreel, and his nurse took him up and fled. And as she fled in her haste, he fell and became lame, and his name was Mephibosheth.
So that one verse there is all we hear about Mephibosheth until, I think it's chapter 9?
Yep, chapter 9, we'll hear more about this guy.
Just hold that thought right there.
This lame descendant of Saul.
Okay, verse 5. Now the sons of Rimmon, the Beerothite, Rechab and Baanah, set out. And about the heat of the day, they came to the house of Ishbosheth as he was taking his noonday rest. And they came into the midst of the house as if to get wheat, and they stabbed him in the stomach. Then Rechab and Baanah, his brother, escaped. When they came into the house, as he lay on his bed in his bedroom, they struck him and put him to death and beheaded him. They took his head and went by way of the Arabah all night and brought the head of Ishbosheth to David at Hebron. And they said to the king, here is the head of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, your enemy, who sought your life. The Lord has avenged my lord the king to this day on Saul and on his offspring. But David answered Rechab and Baanah, his brother, the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, as the Lord lives, who has redeemed my life out of every adversity, when one told me, behold, Saul is dead, and thought he was bringing good news, I seized him and killed him at Ziklag, which was the reward I gave him for his news.
Okay, so that's the Amalekite in 2 Samuel chapter 1 who claimed that he killed Saul. He said, oh, you killed the anointed, and so he had him killed.
Yep.
Similar thing's going to happen here with Rechab and Baanah.
Yeah, okay, so verse 11. How much more, when wicked men have killed a righteous man in his own house, on his bed, shall I not now require his blood at your hand and destroy you from the earth? And David commanded his young men, and they killed them, Rechab and Baanah, and cut off their hands and feet and hanged them beside the pool at Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in the tomb of Abner at Hebron.
Okay, so this chapter 4 is really about Rechab and Baanah killing Ishbosheth.
Ishbosheth, yeah.
And they bring his head back to prove that he was dead. David, just like with the Amalekite, then had Rechab and Baanah killed and the head restored. Okay, so in terms of summary, you got to read your summary here. This is another one of those doozies.
Okay, go ahead. Well, okay, remember I like to use abbreviations to keep it short.
See if you can understand what's going on. Okay, Rechab and Baanah and Ishbosheth. Here we go.
Okay,
just read it.
Oh, okay, Ish killed by Baanah and Rechab brought Ai's head to David, who had them killed. D buried Ai's head in Abner's tomb.
Okay. If you can decipher that, you are good to go. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.